Howdy, cruisers. You know, I said I would never do the news, probably won't, but commentary is not news, and there's a lot going on, and there are a lot of different takes, so I figured I would just throw my hat into the ring on some of these things, give some people an alternative perspective to think about. The biggest news of the last week, I suppose, in the cruising world is the kerfuffle that broke out in the Galveston terminal at disembarkation of Carnival Jubilee. And yes, everybody's talking about this, and everybody's talking about how it's going to affect Carnival and all these kinds of things. But I just want to talk about mostly how this affects the rest of the industry, because while this is primarily associated with Carnival, and here within the cruising community, we almost exclusively associate these things with Carnival. We know they happen on other cruise lines. Actually, Royal Caribbean, I think, is the only one that really ever makes headlines on this. But within the cruise community, when you say, oh, there was a fight, everybody assumes it was on Carnival. If you are a frequent cruiser, if you watch me, if you watch any other big creators, I guarantee you do that, right? Think about it. You know I'm right. But this is a bigger problem for everybody. And I will bet $1 that Christine Duffy found out about this because she got she got a message from a VP at Royal Caribbean asking her, what are you going to do about this? Because it does affect the entire industry. If you scan media on other platforms that aren't really focused on one particular thing, you will see these videos pop up, and the consensus is, oh, I will never cruise Carnival. Or it's not, I will never cruise Carnival, or avoid Carnival. Oh, this only happens on Carnival. Most of the comments are, this is why I will never take a cruise. This is why I hate cruising. This is why I can't stand to be trapped on a cruise ship. They never make the distinction that it's Carnival or not. So when the non-cruisers see this, they're avoiding cruising altogether, which is why Carnival really needs to figure out what's going on here, because they're not just attracting the ire of potential guests. There's other big players in the industry, guarantee, that are not happy with this, and they're going to want something. They're going to want something done. Now let's talk about Norwegian Aqua. I will be heading up to Orlando next week for what I think is the third revenue sailing of Norwegian Aqua out of her current home port, Port Canaveral. I'm looking forward to this, despite some of the things I've heard. Nothing bad, but I'm hearing a lot of, I want to say, mixed reviews, a lot of kind of comments about Norwegian Aqua, and okay, I hear you, but I know I'm an outlier on this. I really liked Norwegian Prima. I had a great time on my 12-day sailing from New York to Galveston, and I really had only the minorest petty complaints about the ship. I mean, the things you would complain about, any cruise ship. I think Norwegian really did a good job with that style of ship. I understand what people are saying. There's a couple of restaurant decisions that I think are a little bit questionable, but overall, I didn't mind the layout and didn't mind the activities. I could understand why people thought some spaces were too small, like the pool deck, but I don't lounge out by the pool, so that didn't really affect me. And as we all know, if it doesn't affect me, it doesn't really matter. Just kidding. So, or am I? Anyway, I think based on the very few images I've seen of Norwegian Aqua, I've kind of tried to avoid any videos. I have not watched any videos, so I really don't know what to expect. It looks like the stretch is primarily to add more guest space, more cabins, and it does look like the pool deck is larger, so they listened on that respect. And a couple of venues have been changed, like the Galaxy Pavilion has been reformatted into something else. So we'll see. But yeah, I enjoyed Norwegian Prima, so I really think I'm going to enjoy Norwegian Aqua, and I will tell you all about it when we depart. I know, very, very sad. This will happen. Oh, by the way, the MSC World America videos are still going to be coming out, so expect some shorts and maybe a Tuesday, Thursday video about Norwegian Aqua, something like that. I don't really know. I can't promise a schedule. Some people do, and man, kudos to you, but no, we can't do that around here. Finally, let's talk about what I'm sure is everyone's second favorite cruise in the world, and that's the Jungle Cruise in Tokyo Disneyland. So this is some concept art that recently came out about the future of Tokyo Disneyland, and a lot of people are speculating that they are going to pave over the Jungle Cruise to replace it with, of all things, Up and the Incredibles. Okay, okay. First of all, I would be shocked, honestly, if they did this. Tokyo Disneyland has been very protective of the Disneyland image. They wanted, when they built Tokyo Disneyland, they wanted a copy, in as much as was feasible, of Disneyland over in Tokyo. And even up till now, they've been very resistant to change Splash Mountain over to Tiana's. In fact, they're even bulldozing and rebuilding a brand new Space Mountain just to keep, that Disneyland feel. They're not doing Tron or anything like that. So I would be shocked if this actually happens. It is just concept art, right? There's hints about what's going to happen, but yeah, for that park, this is shocking. And as for the image, though, the waves are a bit weird, right? Because if you maybe turn this around or something like that, maybe this is actually going to go on the other side of the park, where I think there's still just parking lots, right? It might be a little bit of a weird pathway to get there, but if you're going to build a land with Up and the Incredibles, like a little mini Pixar place, Pixar Pier, whatever you want to call it, then it would kind of make sense to do a little trail, perhaps around behind Tomorrowland and put it there, because the water is really what's next after the parking lot. So I don't know, maybe that's the actual plan. Very strange. But yes, I would hate to see them get rid of the Jungle Cruise for Up. I did not like Up, by the way. I know a lot of people really love this movie, but I was just like, not Pixar's best. But, well, what do I know? Well, that's today's episode of, what I'm going to call the Under the Covers news with yours truly. I don't know, maybe we'll change it. A little bit too cheeky? Nah, never too cheeky. All right, folks. Yes, Norwegian Aqua is coming up, and then a bucket list for me a couple months later. And if you happen to be on any of these sailings, I'll see you on board.